Welcome to the Good
Wow.
Buds Podcast, the show where good buds smoke good buds and talk about them. I'm Curtis.
I'm Shank.
Isaac.
And this is episode 96,
I'm Isaac.
airing Monday. And this is episode 96, airing Monday, April 10th, 2023 on Spotify, YouTube, Anchor, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and many more. Thank you for joining us.
I'm Isaac.
Yes, thank you. Thank you
This
so
is
much for
episode
joining.
96.
Thank you so much for joining us, Buzz. Today we're going to be talking about some bunk stuff that we've had in the past, some miscellaneous strains that other people find unenjoyable, and some that we have personally found unenjoyable. And hopefully, if any of you buds have found any unenjoyable in the past, I hope not, comment down below and let us know.
Absolutely. We're taking on the most garbage, the grossest of the gross, as opposed to the dankest of the dank. As we said before, that's Shank. I'm Curtis. Who's that guy again?
I'm Isaac.
I can't remember.
And this is episode
okay.
96. All right, already starting off trashy, shall we say? I'm kidding. No, this is going to be great. We're going to be talking about some shitty ass weeds, some shitty stuff, some shitty stories to go with it. But before we get into any of that, let's remind ourselves about the good times, the good things, some good buds. I have some good ass. What is this called? Grape biscotti today. I may have smoked it the last episode, but hey, it's been a while. I got more.
I got some buttered toast today. So.
Buttered toast.
Buttered
gravy.
Toast. Gravy. Oh yeah. No, it
Sounds
smells
delicious.
Great. I'm excited.
Hell yeah. Isaac, are you going to be participating in any garbage weed today? What is that? What is that he's got? Is that an edible?
No, it's a vitamin.
Perfect. You better take that multivitamin with us. And if you got your multivitamins at home, and by that I also mean cannabis, it's time to, like everybody else does, blaze it. Tok tok shkaboke.
Tok shkaboke. Oh man, that is creamy.
Honestly, mine is creamy as well. Creamy, a little bit of grapey, little fucking, what's the word I'm looking for? Crab ragoonish? It's like crab ragoonish.
Yeah, honestly, I was gonna say the same thing. Maybe a little bit like crab kalach or whatever it is.
Crab
cake.
Yeah, crab cakes. They're like the Jewish delicacy. I forget what they're called, like kalach or something. I can't pronounce it. But they're delicious, and they're like crab cakes. Let's just say crab cakes for the sake of crab cake.
Okay.
But very buttery, very nice and like melted butter, and it's got that nice like kind of creaminess to it. So I can see why they named it that.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm absolutely loving this strain, which is good and definitely opposite of what we are going to be talking about. Some strains that we've smoked before that are not that fancy and shit like that. First thing I think we should address is last couple weeks how shit hasn't been going right.
Yeah.
Camera issues, technical difficulties, a monitor has exploded, work difficulties, and yada yada. Now that you're up to speed, here we're at. Isaac died once, came back to life.
I exploded.
Yep, it's true.
Pieces all
he exploded. It's a good thing that we've got that vat of clones of him down in the basement, like so that if he dies, we can just pop a new one out.
Absolutely.
Every time. The way that you can tell that they're clones is every time the facial hair gets a little bit better. Like each time. Like he gets a thicker mustache, thicker beard. Like it's every time he dies and comes back, that happens. So keep an eye out for that, and you'll see when the clones pop up.
See if you can spot it. Oil in my chambers.
Yeah, in the clone vats. Fucking hair club for men. Fucking like Rogaine.
Beard club for men. Yes, they put the oil in there.
Yeah. But yeah, buds, if you're interested in seeing that beautiful facial hair, you can definitely see it visually. It's true. You can see it. Right. You don't need to just be listening.
You can see it. It's on YouTube. That's where we're at. Being visual. YouTube. Face. It's there. YouTube. Subscribe while you're there. It's fantastic.
Subscribe button. Remember the like. That's right. Like. It's the only other place aside from Isaac's OnlyFans that you can see him naked.
There's other places, but they always get demonetized and taken off. Where are those places?
That's true. Those places are on Instagram
Twitch.
and our other social media. We have Instagram, we have Facebook, we have Twitter, we have all kinds of
Twitch.
links for you down below in the description. And yeah, it's fucking pretty dope. Like, join us there, check out the social medias, and of course,
my grudge.
the grudge is still held, but
The grudge is still is up there in the air. It's actually right there.
it's like floating around. Like I can hear it over there.
Yeah, just like Gullible's right there, actually.
Yeah, it's true. Huh? but anyway, check out our social media links down below in the description. We have lots of great content going on. We tell you all about the behind the scenes stuff. You guys can enjoy it if you want to. Links down below. Check them out.
Or don't.
Don't do what you want to do. But do it.
Too.
But fucking do it, dude.
Patreon.
Yeah.
Yeah, Patreon. Fucking do it. Awesome. All right, so that's good, man. That's that's the whole shill section of the podcast out of the way. Now for the part we like, our opinions.
Now for the trashy part.
Now for the trashy part, yeah. So, Curtis, I think you probably start us off with some bunk ass situations you've had in your past. Like, what would you say? Like, well, either ultimate disappointment or just terribleness.
I mean, obviously, I think the best place we start is usually the first place where everyone starts, which is usually the shittiest bottom of the barrel shit that nobody else wants to smoke, that usually gets passed off to high schoolers, which may or may not get passed down to even younger, but I'm not approving or saying anything of that. So let's just say high schoolers. Let's say
shit flows downhill.
Exactly. Shit flows downhill. So let's say you're a sophomore in high school and you're just wanting to start out fucking recreational drug use. This is about the average time in every teenager's life. I'm not promoting it, like I'm saying, but it's usually around the time.
We're not gonna lie, it happens.
It happens. Let's be
we
real.
all know that we all know that the entire time, of course, on the podcast, every time we've ever smoked cannabis, even whether it was legal or not, it was legal for the sake of the story. But we all know that Curtis and I both started younger than we would recommend ourselves as adults.
The age of 4.
Damn right, and that's why I'm still fucked up in the head.
I'm pretty sure I just kind of walked out of my mom with a joint lit and was like, "Thanks."
Okay.
The bong was waiting for me on the other side because my mom did not want to stick that anywhere. So
yeah, that's why he was born, because he smelled the bong in the room and was like, "Oh shit."
That's why my mom had to get a C-section. Anyways, I'm lying.
You didn't. Okay, I'm not even going to continue that one. So, we start, most of the time you start young, and usually when you start young, you're usually getting shit deals, and usually the shittiest of the shit. Either someone older in high school is trying to make a quick buck, or somebody older, or somebody who knows what they're doing is trying to make a quick buck. And in order to do that, they're usually selling off something that they can't or don't want to smoke themselves. So that's usually where most people end up starting off with, and this is becoming a lot less prevalent with with a lot of people being able to have access to legal weed and dispensaries, and especially with cartridges being a thing. Fucking most kids have never tasted a shitty fucking strain in their life because they only had carts.
Good quality weed is easy to come by now.
Exactly.
From California, man.
And I'll get to that in a second as well with another section. But for right now, I also think that since at a young age you're usually getting not that great of stuff, add that to the factor of multiple years ago where the only thing you could really get was Reggie's, and that's basically where I started smoking my weed. So not super far back in the 80s where you still like, man, I remember this stuff as being grand, but I would say, 2010, 2012 era.
Yeah.
Fucking, you pretty much got Reggie's, you got some Kushes, and you got some that are mystical weeds that you've only heard of, but Reggie's.
The air quotes, hydro.
Exactly.
Purple stuff.
Purple stuff. Some blue, that stuff that has
blue
hairs in it, Somebody came out with that blueberry yum yum. By the way, look at my little
nuggie.
Purple grandmother cookies.
Bro, for your streams, you totally gotta fucking take a picture of him on a blank background and Photoshop it so he's just a PNG. put that up on your screen.
So yeah, so basically we start off with Reggie's. We start off with shitty fucking bunk ass weed, and I'm pretty sure Jank, you know exactly where I'm coming from on that.
100%, 100%.
Not people that I know.
Yeah, 100%. And like I know that when I was younger, and I obviously am an old fart, but when I was younger, like there was, of course, like you said, Curtis, there was the Reggies, you know, there was like the street, the homestone, as we like to call it. You know, like the homestone stuff that was like, it was and the quality of it was so dramatically variable. Like sometimes you would get it, and that was, I think, the biggest issue is consistency, because nowadays cannabis is really consistent. Like if I can buy the same strain every week and have it be the same, which is incredible, right? But when I was younger, you would go to a dealer who was, you know, like
1 week
like
it was seeds, 1 week it
yeah,
was
1 week,
stems, 1 week it was
yeah,
skimpy little ones, and then the next week it was fucking beautiful.
yeah, and you'd get these like certain weeks where you'd get like the bombest of the bomb ass weeds, and then the next week after that it'd be like back to Reggie's, you know, like back to Reggie's for like the next fucking God knows how long, right? And so like I think that
And at that point, it
not
was depending on
necessarily.
how friendly you were with those people, depended on
Mm,
if you got the same price for the good
mm,
stuff or if the good stuff cost more because it's good stuff and you knew it.
the old $12 a gram deal was big around here whenever something fancy would come into town, because it would be like $10 a gram for like anything else, barring other deals. You know, you'd get like 40 for, you know,
Yeah.
whatever and that kind of thing. But like, you know, if something special came into town, a lot of dealers would be like, yeah, it's $1 or it's like $12. And it's like, dude, you're dealing in change, bro. Come on, like come on, like, you know, like I get it, but come on, like you're charging a premium. You're dealing in
Yeah.
literal change. You want people to bring you toonies
See,
and
at
quarters
least,
and shit.
yeah. At
Loonies and
least you're,
toonies, eh?
yeah. I mean, in all fairness, you're lucky because in Canadian, that's just a bill and a coin. But again,
Oh
here
yeah,
that's still multiple bills, and most of the time it
that's
was
what I'm
still all
saying.
singles. But
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. Like,
I can imagine you getting
it's
a bunch of
stupid.
loonies.
Yeah, it happened. It happened. But
Um,
but I wouldn't classify a lot of that as bad weed though, because like a lot
it's
of it
not
was just
all.
like it was like meh. Like it
Yeah.
was at the very worst it was like not great weed, but I don't think, at least from the dealer level, I ever, like, I mean, maybe once or twice that I can think of, I got like bad weed, but for the
Yeah.
most part, like it was just like at the
Yeah.
worst and like yay at the best, you know?
Right. I get that for
Yeah.
sure.
I've definitely had bad strains though.
Yeah. And the other thing, like, for me, there was also like a clear difference between like somebody around the area grew it, they got it from somebody who grew it who was way far away, and there was the occasional, very once in a while time where you would get brickweed here
Mm,
in fucking Michigan. Like somehow a
yeah.
brick or a couple bricks would make it to Detroit. From there, it would get distributed to a couple other guys, and then it would be distributed from there. So,
Yeah.
as a one of the little guys would somehow get a hold or get in contact with all those guys, and you would end up getting fucking like a Ziploc bag with a decent amount in the bottom of it, like probably an eighter's worth, but it was still only like $20 at the time. So pretty
Yeah.
good deal, but once you picked out all the seeds, the stems, everything else, and get over the fact that it smells like plastic and almost nothing, it was weed.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
And that's like, but it's like
I
when
think
you get brickweed that's old and it's like, you know, it hasn't been like, you know, sealed
that's
well,
the thing.
that's when it's bad.
I I mean, don't get me wrong. When it's not sealed well, it's definitely fucking terrible. It's stale, it's gross, and everything. But in my
Yeah.
opinion, out of all of the like Reggies and fucking old style weeds that you were able to get, if between like home grow locally, homegrown kind of outside of the region, but somehow was brought in, was okay.
Yeah.
But brickweed, no matter what, was fucking god awful every goddamn
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Fucking, this is stuff that came like from cartels in Mexico, somehow made it over the border, took a long ass time to travel through the United States, make it to Detroit, and then
Yeah.
once it was there, sat for a bit until it was finally fucking distributed out.
Well, sometimes the brickweed in Michigan and then in the northern states comes from Canada as well, right? Because there are like organized criminals in Canada, especially the Hells
Oh yeah.
Angels and groups like that like operating out of Quebec and Montreal and Ontario and stuff. And like they'll ship brickweed down. They'll grow
Yeah.
like
Well,
like
I can't be
multiple
100.
factories filled with
Right.
cannabis and like then ship it down south across the border, right?
Of
So
course.
could have come
But
from Canada,
of
but it
course,
would have
it
still
could have
been
been
shitty
either
either
or.
way. Yeah, either direction, it would have been shit.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So yeah.
no man, but that's bad. That's bad news. Like brickweed. I always liked local stuff around here, at least when I was younger. Because I don't know, I live in a really like a very rural area.
Right.
So there's a lot of farmers around here. So they kind of take pride in their plants and everything else. So a lot of the time, like when you got shitty weed, it was from out of town. It would be someone from out of town who like shipped it in.
Right.
But if you bought it from someone who was here in town, like it would all be like hand trimmed, fucking like it would almost look like what you'd get now as modern artisan weed. Like you know when you
That's
go to
good.
that foofy ass store that you go to
Yeah.
that's bougie and fucking awesome. Like when you get their awesome like bougie strains and you look at
Mhm.
them and you're like, damn, that's trimmed specifically to look like an art nug.
Uh,
That's what they would do with all their weed. They just trim
so
it and it was fucking dope.
so here's the thing, and I'm trying not to offend any of the growers out there because I know there are people who grow for a hobby. There are people who are just like first time
Yeah.
growers. Anybody who's listened to this who is a grower, I'm not knocking you in any way, shape, or form when I say this.
No.
But pretty much anything that I've seen grown in stores has been better than like the lowest ranked stuff that I've seen grown in and sold in dispensaries is better than anything anybody has brought up to me recently and said that this is homegrown.
Yep.
100% everything. And here's what I mean by home grow. Like there's a level where you're first starting out and you're growing one plant or you're growing a couple plants just to test the waters and make sure everything's good. It's not going to be the greatest plant. It never is on your first one. That's fine. Grow it, make it happen, fucking grow your next one and make better and better shit. It's going to keep happening.
Yeah.
Once you start growing more and more weed, then you're going to have a couple plants. You're going to have a decent setup. Maybe you have a little greenhouse set up in your house. Maybe you have a place outside set up where you can grow it outside. Cool. You're
Grow
planting a
10,
couple
grow
plants.
room.
Right. Probably still within the legal amount of the state, so you're still okay. There's no issue. But those are the weeds that I'm basically talking about. Once I think you get over that line and you're at basically the point where you're a small independent operation by yourself and all you're doing is growing weed on top of doing something else, where it's going from being something fun to do to a hobby to something where you could potentially sell it and make money off of it, that's the line where I think, okay, now you're competing with dispensaries because at that point you are businessing it. So
Yeah.
that line between hobby growing and business growing is a very split line for me personally today, I think, in the modern
No,
times.
no, I would agree with you because even though I've had some extremely fantastic homegrown strains, like I've had some really good ones
Absolutely.
that were beautifully trimmed and like properly like decarb, not decarb, but like
And
cured and everything else. And like they're just perfect. Well, I would smoke them any day of the week if you offered it to me, no
of
questions.
course,
But like there are strains that I can go to the store right now and I can buy that I know beyond a shadow of a doubt will be fantastic when I buy them. I know that I have access to them immediately if I wanted
Mhm.
it. I could go to the store and I will have access to it. So that's another benefit. And like they're guaranteed to be good. They're guaranteed like I don't have to question whether this week it'll be good and next month it won't. You know what I mean? Like
right. Oh, are
I
they
just
going to have
I
enough
know the
this?
quality will be.
Are they going to have enough this time because, oh, they got a whole warehouse that's growing it, rather than are you going to have it this week because mites started eating one plant and it might spread to the rest of them.
Well, it's kind of like craft. It's kind of like craft beer and stuff like that versus regular beer. Like if you find a brand that makes a regular production beer, it'll be delicious, and you can find a really delicious like craft beer, but you don't know whether 2 months from now they're gonna have that same craft beer. So like you're gonna go and consistently buy tastier, consistently produced,
So
easily accessible, quality shit.
right. So yeah, I think that line between hobby and shit. I'm not saying growers nowadays are trash. I'm not saying I would pick dispenser weed over your weed. I would smoke both your weeds because fuck yeah,
Mhm.
it's still weed. My uncle
Smoke all that shit.
grows weed up north, fucking out of his land, just out of the ground, and it's fucking still decent weed. It's still fantastic. I would still smoke it, no problem.
Yeah,
But
you've had some of that in the past on the podcast, haven't you? Actually, I
absolutely,
remember.
yeah,
Yeah, and you fucking gave it raving reviews because it was delicious.
exactly. So as I, it's decent. It's all right if it's homegrown stuff, but I would still not put it on the level of what most of these companies are creating and submitting, as they have the technology, the fucking lab testing and everything to make sure they're making the best product. And also on top of that, if you get a hydroponic machine, you are no longer a hobby fucking cannabis grower.
Yeah, and the way that also the trimming technique that they use, I do have one complaint about it, which is that they use tumble trimming, which means that they basically put it into a tumbler that like takes off all of the sugar leaves, like all of them. But the problem is that it also takes off the majority of the exterior crystal on the nugs. So like a lot of the time, if like most of the mass production companies, when they sell you a nug, the nug will be very clean on the outside and like crystally on the inside, but like it's because they tumble them around to clean them off, and they do look very, very, very clean.
Well,
but I've always been a fan of like rugged-ish nugs, but
I prefer the crimp clean method of them.
Yeah,
personally.
but it is nice, and honestly, it makes busting them and everything else substantially easier as well. So I can't complain about that.
It makes it more fun. It's like a geode.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it does make that substantially more fun, which is something I can't complain about. But getting back to the original topic of shitty weeds. Now, I can definitely think of one example that I've had of shitty weed in the past. And that was okay, so I was a youngin'. I was ass high to a grasshopper. So it could have been any time between last year and when I was 4 years old. And so basically I was going around and I was looking for some weed. I was like, hey man, want to find some weed? So I went to my buddy who consistently knew where to get it, down by the skate park where I live, near where I live. So anyway, I went down there, I met my friend, and he's like, yeah man, I can totally get you some. My buddy's had some that he's been trying to get rid of for a couple of weeks, and I was like, that alone doesn't sound great. And I'm sure you'd be able to sell some to you. So I was like, all right, cool. So we went and we picked it up, and I knew nothing at this time. This is an important note. I wasn't the well-versed cannabis scholar that I am now. No idea what I was doing. No idea what good weed was, bad weed was. I just knew that you could get weed, and weed was good. That was my experience thus far. So we went and we got this weed, and it looked kind of weird. It was like very dark, which actually I honestly like in a cannabis strain. Like my favorite strain, Armageddon. It's I guess my favorite legacy strain, Armageddon. Like is a very dark strain. It's a brown, like a brownish red kind of strain. But anyway, so this strain looked very dark, and I was like, okay, like that's kind of neat. I've never seen weed that looked like that before, and it smelled kind of weird, but I was like, whatever. It's the weed I can get, so I'll take it. This is why legalization needs to happen, because if you don't legalize shit, then people will buy whatever they can get their hands on. So I got this shit, and I went with my buddy to go smoke some bowls of it back at our favorite hangout spot. So we go back there, and fucking we're hanging out in a pack of bowl, and he takes a hit, and he's like, oh man, this is fucking like not very tasty at all. Like this doesn't taste good. And I was like, oh, that sucks. Like, but hey, it is what it is. And so I went and I took a hit, and I immediately recognized the flavor, but not until it was like fully in my lungs. Like I took a full-on hit, full down, and then like I recognized the flavor like on the exhale. It was fucking mold, man. Mold. Super bad fucking mold. And I was just like gagging immediately gagging. It was the worst. And this weed, like, it's like I realized that I should have like smelled it in the first place when I smelled it, because it had that like musky basement mold kind of smell. But like fucking I just like was coughing and hacking, gagging and shit like that and everything else.
Quick to cut you off, because we have mentioned before on the podcast that musky basement is like a good taste for weed, and it's a good on the exhale. It's good for the flavor. If it smells like that, no.
Yeah.
Get it out of there.
If it smells like that before you burn it, and there's no weed smell at all, it just smells like a musty basement, you probably don't want to smoke it.
No. Tastes like it on the outside, it's probably some dank shit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I learned from this valuable life experience, though. I smoked it, and I fucking absolutely immediately regretted it. I threw up. I felt sick for the rest of the fucking day. Never went back to that guy for cannabis again. Just Didn't happen. Warned everybody that he fucking had sold me moldy weed, so just to check their shit if they're gonna buy it from him. I didn't say don't buy from him. Like I was like, just check it before you buy it. Like, and if it's moldy, don't buy it. But basically, yeah, man, it was just a bad scene. I did not enjoy it at all, and it was scungy as fuck. And like, I feel like with that strain, it would have been, even without being moldy, just from how it looked. Like, generally, I feel like even if it hadn't been moldy, it probably would have been a shit strain anyway. And like, it's just one of those things where I should have followed my gut. Like, you know, like about this shitty strain. Like, I looked at it, I smelled it, I thought I should have followed my gut and been like, no, I'll wait. But me being young and stupid, I didn't. And I ended up with some bunk ass weed that I did not enjoy smoking at all.
Shit. That's unfortunate.
Oh, now, yeah, no. No.
Now, Isaac, you were telling us that you have a friend who was smoking on a bunk ass strain. Or had some info.
It's that one, no. But I do have a relatively kind of common story.
Okay.
So,
all right. Hit us up.
I was heading to work when I was painting houses, and worked with my uncle and cousin, and he had a friend with him. My uncle had a friend with him that day, and we're on our way to the job. And they're talking about this weed, and they're like, he's like, I'm not. They're like, I'm not gonna smoke his weed. He's like, he's homegrown it himself, and it's moldy. I'm not gonna smoke no moldy ass weed. And then he goes and tells me that he got the mold off. I'm like, oh, how'd you get the mold off? He's like, oh, I used the bleach. I used bleach, he says.
Bleach?
Did they smoke it after?
My uncle never touched it. I have no idea if they touched it after, the bleach. So
did they show up? Did they show up at the job the next time?
They weren't working with us.
Oh.
This was somebody else. That I had no idea who they were.
That's
But yeah, I was just like, ugh.
Now, Curtis, would you say that category that falls under the category of bad weed if it's got bleach on it?
It's got mold and
mold.
bleach.
That's
well,
terrible.
No. The mold's gone. The mold's gone because of bleach.
Can you guys give me a second? Ladies and gentlemen, listening to the Good Buds podcast, I would like to, at this moment, please tell you, do not drench your weed in bleach to kill any sort of bacteria, mold, fungus, spores, or anything at all. Do not put bleach on your weed and then proceed to consume it. It is dangerous. Do not consume bleach. You will die.
You will die.
Yeah.
Do not do it.
I have no idea if they smoked it. I think my uncle may have told him, hey.
Official disclaimer and shit.
Hey, you probably shouldn't smoke that. There's bleach on it.
Don't smoke the bleachy, moldy weed! It's goddamn apparent!
I have no idea.
Disapproving dad head shake.
Yeah. So
you can do
just
better,
that.
son. You can do better.
I'm
not mad.
I mean, there was it's another shit strain that we could probably all agree on that I have had the pleasure of tasting and not enjoying.
Bleach
I
weed.
think you've got not bleach weed, but I believe you two have probably had this strain before. It's good old everybody's favorite K2.
I'm having a hard time calling that a strain.
I'm having a very difficult time calling that cannabis.
You seen the quotes? That's why I put the quotes.
Yeah.
See the quotes? Why do you think I put the quotes?
Okay, the air quotes are there. I think I'll agree with that. If we consider it as an honorary strain, it is one of the shittiest of all strains.
I'm not considering it an honorary strain. I'm not considering it cannabis.
It's a dishonorary strain.
But it's still trashy weed.
It's super trashy. And now I'm Bane. And look how big my nose is. Subscribe to our YouTube channel.
And I know we've all.
I know.
I don't know about you two, but I know I've had the pleasure of trying it before.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've all had the pleasure of
Yes.
trying it before, accidentally somehow.
Yep.
The group of people I was hanging out with at the time were buying. I don't have one on hand, but
Packs.
sandwich bags full for $15 at a store. At a store.
Yep.
Ooh.
Me and my friends could get a bag this size for $20. Easy.
Yeah, that's basically the size of the bag. And you were able to go to this store called Brothers Boutique in my area, my old area, I should say.
Yeah.
And the owners there sold K2. Like, the people who came in, they knew who they were and they knew that they sold weed. And they bought, the weed off of them.
That's fucked up, man.
This place was weird already, dude. You walk in, you got knives, you got bowls, you got weird frog-shaped bongs and other bongs. You got incense. You got porn. You got all types of weird shit compiled in one fucking store.
This tells me like this is a place that is absolutely loving Delta 8 THC and fucking Kratom right now.
They got raided.
Oh, for sure.
They got raided?
They got raided after K2 became illegal.
Oh, that'll do it. If they don't stop immediately, if they don't stop immediately, then they could get in
No idea
trouble.
if the store. I mean, they got raided, but I think the store was still around.
Well, that's the thing is they would reopen because the government would basically give them a massive fine, and then they'd have to pay it.
This was about almost a decade ago.
I mean, this happened.
Actually, no. This was actually more than a decade ago. This was way
COVID shut
before.
Them down there.
This has got to be like.
Yeah,
12,
the same thing happened
ago.
to a lot of stores around here, but the thing is, they just got, a couple cops walked in, they got slapped with a fine, and they're like, yo, get rid of your shit and you're good. But it sounds like this place was probably doing a little bit more on the down low.
Everyone I know who went there and got stuff, they said it got raided. But yeah,
did you get?
I thought I would mention that since I think that's probably the only one I've tried that I can remember.
I think we can.
And it's shit.
Yeah. I think we can all agree that that's definitely like the most garbage of a plant-ish type substance that you can smoke. I mean, other than other ones, but it's trash.
Ones.
Exactly.
Trash. But you're not wrong. Like, okay, so yeah, if we're considering that, then we will say K2 is a dishonorary. This is only being mentioned because we think it's so dog shit and nobody should touch it.
I think it's so dog shit. K2. I disagree with it entirely, but for the sake of the podcast, I'll allow it.
But Curtis, there is one for you that I vaguely remember. I have a vague memory of it. And you may, if you want to regale the buds about it, because I think you've smoked it on the podcast or talked about it before, but the garlicky. When the cannabis got besmirched.
Oh, you're construction of weed.
He got so excited his camera fell over.
Oh yeah, I had
He's like, oh yeah, shit.
I had this one strain on the podcast before, and here's the thing: the strain I can't fully remember. Here, I'm looking up the strain review right now.
I thought it was an accidental combination of garlic stuff you had from a pizza and weed.
Oh, it was.
Okay, I'm thinking of something completely different then.
Oh,
sorry.
Yeah,
no. I'm thinking of when you had an accident with your when your cannabis got besmirched.
So, Bud, I had some Little Caesars pizza. I'm a Detroit native, so of course I enjoy myself some Little Caesars pizza here and there. $5 hot and ready. Fuck yeah, I'm recession proof.
I'm hot and ready right now.
Goddamn right. Now, if you're gonna order a hot and ready and you're a baller on a budget, you have to order some crazy bread to go with it. Just a bag of crazy bread, of course. It comes in that nice little paper bag. The thing is,
crazy.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy how much fucking butter and garlic and parm and shit they put on it. Now, here's the thing. They put so much garlic and butter and parm on it that it kind of seeps through the bag a little bit if you let it sit for a little bit. Now, me being the stoner that I am and me having a room, I have a room with, or had a room with a mini fridge at my parents' place. So I'm like, all right, one night out, it'll be fine. I'll throw it in the fridge in the morning. You know, I'm high. I want to fall asleep. So I fall asleep, and the garlic butter starts seeping, and it starts seeping a little bit down. Now, the thing is, I had some cannabis in a bag, but kind of open underneath the pizza box, and it angled just perfectly where the butter went down the side of the pizza box, out through the bag, down the side of the pizza box, and into the weed. I had garlic butter
like
weed.
some Rube Goldberg fucking Final Destination.
Some Final Destination one to you to buy, and I had garlic butter weed. Now here's the thing: it was there, it existed.
It's a thing.
I had to try it.
Well, yeah, it's a thing now.
I grinded that shit up in a shitty old little grinder because I didn't want to butter up my new grind, any of my working grinders.
Yeah, they're all
that shit up,
enough.
and I fucking put that into a bong, and I'm like, all right, let's try it. I can't remember what the strain of the actual weed was at the time, but I hit that, and it was nasty. It was not good. It smelled so garlicky. It smelled so delicious. It smelled so buttery. And I hit it, and it sparkled. It cracked. It was angry. Like the aria of Sauron was just winking at me consistently.
That was some badass weed.
It was angry. And then it hit me, and it was just burnt butter, fucking, just like my mouth was just full of like thick. It was just thick. The smoke had girth to it.
Some smoked cheese in there. Some fucking smoked garlic, butter.
And then the garlic, it just, I guess burnt garlic is not that good. Roasted garlic is alright, but burnt, no.
Yeah, no.
Punched you in the face, didn't it?
It was fucking Mamma Mia Pizziotto.
Yeah,
Punched you right in the goddamn lungs.
And we were so fucking hopeful too. That's the problem. I think that's what made it even worse. That's what dashed our hopes even more, is because we were like hopeful. We were like, man, maybe this is the next big thing. Maybe this will be like the thing. And
This
everybody's
is like
smoking
Jesse Pinkman's chili powder.
Oh,
straight up. Like it's just like that special fucking ingredient that like we can start like branding this Good Buds cannabis and like sell it to the world, and everybody would be on it. Like we were like, man, it's gonna taste like garlic bread. It's gonna be amazing, and fucking everybody's gonna fucking freak out over this shit. And then he smoked it, and all of that hope was gone.
Terrible.
All of it was gone. It was disappointing. But yeah, man, I remembered that, and I was like, dude, you got to mention that on this talking about shitty strains. That disappointment will forever live etched in my memory.
And it's also funny because after that, I had a strain on the podcast that was called Garlic Breath, and it was fucking delicious.
Yeah, you really enjoyed that one. It was like the redemption of the garlic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that was fucking great, man. That was great.
Yeah, when you originally mentioned that, I couldn't really remember exactly what strain you were talking about, and fucking, I remember vaguely a strain where I had like a huge description for the palette of it and how it looked and everything was incredible, and then I thought like the taste of it was absolutely shitty. It was the smell of it. It was puta breath.
Yeah, puta breath. Yeah, I remember that.
A very long, drawn out description of the nug itself, and then it just smells like bitch breath.
Yeah, I remember that. You were like, you gave a very, very, very good, succinct description of like the beauty of the nug, like how it looked. But then you were just kind of like, yeah, it smells like bitch breath. Sucks balls. Not a fan.
Oh yeah, but yeah.
In terms
of on the podcast, I don't really think I've had too many like bad ones per se. Oh, LA Kush Cake. I had LA Kush Cake that was on episode 48, and that one was very harsh hit, very cushy, and not so good. Very hot.
Yeah.
That's it.
See, I love how in episode 13, when we did the miscellaneous random strains, we have like who knows, who cares, and fuck it.
Yeah.
Like, I love that. It's fantastic.
Exactly.
I'm trying to remember if there are any that I had that were shitty.
I don't really think so too much.
You know what? I want to steal your garlic idea. Your shitty garlic butter idea.
Oh yeah? What are you
I'm
gonna
gonna
do?
steal it, and I'm gonna buy at least a little bit of each strain that I could probably get my hands onto. And I'm gonna let it marinate in Dr. Pepper.
Okay.
And see how it goes.
Okay.
Can you put your tongue back in your mouth?
Okay. So you're gonna now here's the thing. Here's the problem though. Is the drying phase is what's really important there, because if you marinate
Not gonna be
them in
soggy.
well, no, but if you marinate them in Dr. Pepper, right? What you got to do is you got to put them in some kind of like dehydrator. Like if you have
Of
like a
course.
freeze dryer, like a freeze dryer would be the greatest thing. But like you
Or
want to
just let
like
it.
because
I
you want
I
to get
don't
rid of
think I
that
would let
you
it
want to get rid of the
sit on
moisture
a
as fast as
rack.
possible though, because like getting rid of that moisture fast as possible to at a low temperature would be important because like
I think a
otherwise it
dehydrator
might
would be
mold.
good to start, but then after that, fucking dehumidifier in a room, like just a whole bunch
Yeah,
of dehumidifiers.
you can hang it up.
Mm. But yeah,
Like beef jerky.
I can deal with that. Some
Yeah.
Dr. Pepper.
But you don't want
And
to
see?
let it mold. You don't wanna,
And see
yeah,
what?
that's the
No.
problem. But
No.
I'd smoke it.
I would do it.
I'd smoke it. I'd try it.
Isaac
I
marinating
think you could do that.
Isaac marinating cannabis in different substances for weeks, and then we smoke it.
Bro, you could start doing TikToks like that dude that's like, I'm going to put this cannabis in this butter until something, for 1 week or until
It
something
was
cool happens.
like vodka or tequila or some shit like that.
Yeah. He's
Drunk
like, I'm going
weed.
to put this chocolate in this tequila for 1 week or until something cool happens. It's been 2 days and the chocolate is liquefied entirely. But like, yeah, like well, you could do that kind of thing and be like, "Hi,
Yeah,
I'm Isaac, and I'm gonna put this weed
Yes,
in this
yeah.
Puerto Rican hooker's ass for 1 week."
Okay, that is a completely different subject. So that's for the OnlyFans. No, I think that'd be
Yeah, that's
interesting.
true.
Fucking.
Or the Patreon.
All right, I'm gonna submerge this weed in Jello for 2 weeks, and then we're gonna get it out of there, and Curtis and Shank are gonna smoke it. All right, buds, where was this bud at? Is this in Jello? Yeah.
Yeah, it tastes kind of like
a Jello shot.
orange Jello.
Was this in a hooker's ass again? God damn it, Isaac!
God damn it, Isaac! Got us again.
I marinate weed strains in cans of pussy juice off Amazon. Because you could buy cans of pussy juice to drink.
What about Gamer Sweat?
G Fuel.
Bang right.
Yeah,
G
Fuel. Maybe
I marinate
eventually
strains
G
of
Fuel will give
weed
us
in
our own flavors.
the Super Meat Boy G Fuel, which is like a Frank's Red Hot candy.
Oh, cool. Yeah,
That's what people said it tastes like. They said it tastes like Frank's Red Hot candy.
That'd be interesting. But yeah, like eventually, maybe if we do that for long enough, G Fuel will give us all 3 of our own flavors, and we'll like each get
that
you know,
only
a
allowed
G Fuel
in
flavor.
legalization states because they're going to most definitely have THC in them.
Oh God, yeah.
Oh.
THG
A
Fuel.
strain of weed in green tea, Arizona green tea for a week, or till it explodes.
This is a good idea. I think that'd be a good idea. We might find a
Trademark.
whole bunch of bad strains from that.
Trademarking right now.
Trademark. Yep, that's our idea. You can't steal it.
Does anyone have any other stories about some trash weed?
I can pull. I got some from
yeah.
Reddit.
I think Isaac said he did some research.
I
What
did
do you
some
got, man?
research, and I could pull some from Reddit.
Yeah, hit us up, brother.
All right. Well, let's see. Here's the first one that I found. Unique. I would sure say. Let me fix my screens here so I can see everything. There we go. Okay. So here is one I thought that was interesting. I can't give the person credit because their Reddit account has been deleted. But they say someone asked.
Their Reddit name is deleted.
Yeah.
/deleted.
Basically. Someone asked on Reddit, "What's the worst strain you smoked?" Someone replied with black tar heroin. I was 13 years old. Didn't know better. So I got weed through a middleman. The middleman was a fucked up kid who used a lot of heroin, so he pocketed my $40, giving me back what he told me was super dank hash. Of course, I was too young to realize the hash looked very suspect. I packed it in the bowl, tried to smoke it like it was weed, but thankfully, I didn't use that much because he warned me it was super strong. Yeah, that was a fun trip to the hospital. The kid later ended up going to jail for shooting an old lady on the street. Fuck that guy.
Jesus
Yeah,
fuck.
fuck that guy.
That one fucking went off the deep end there real quick.
Yes.
Holy Moses. That's
Yeah.
wowie wow.
Let's see. Someone just
I'd say
another
that's a bad
deleted.
strain of weed smoke.
Yeah. I would
Oh.
say black tar heroin.
Yeah,
It's terrible.
getting that thing in its hash. That would be an unpleasant surprise.
Okay.
Um.
So I think that would make a really quick segue because I have one quick story to add in.
Oh, all right.
About another terrible strain of cannabis. It's called fentanyl.
I thought you were gonna be like gingivitis.
No.
Fentanyl.
Diarrhea, fentanyl. So yeah, fentanyl. It's a bad thing. It's terrible to be put in drugs and be sold on the street and such. So here's the thing. 2 stories about Michigan about that. All right. So number 1, there's a dude who is a drug kingpin, and he was dealing a whole bunch of fentanyl all over the metro Detroit area, and he was working with like cartels and shit like that, and he was shipping fentanyl all over the fucking United States and shit. Now, do you want to know how he was caught?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so the way he was caught was because one of the shipments that he sent out, he decided rather than go out and get a box or get some kind of different box, he decided to use a box that he already had laying around. It was a box for a PlayStation. I believe a PlayStation 5.
Mm-hmm.
So the
PlayStation serial number 5, on the box?
The PlayStation 5 was set up at one of his stash houses. He sent the fucking box out with a bunch of fentanyl in it. That fentanyl shipment got stopped by the DEA. That serial number on that box got tracked. They figured out that it was plugged in and used, tracked the VPN to where the house was, and raided the stash house. They arrested him, a whole bunch of his cohorts, and figured out where a whole bunch of his other stash houses are because of that, and those proceeded to get raided after that.
Suck a fucking dick, dude. That's awesome.
The dude got caught selling, or a 40-ish-year-old dude got caught selling a whole bunch of fentanyl and being a kingpin because he wanted to play PlayStation.
Mm-hmm. And that's why you don't reuse your boxes. Don't recycle. Recycling is for idiots.
Exactly. Don't fucking recycle.
Or don't do more than one illegal thing at a time.
Right. I mean that he was only doing one illegal thing at a time. He just was not very careful about it. He was just dumb. He did very dumb.
Yeah, that is dumb.
No, I mean, in all fairness, I think he was doing more than one illegal thing at a time. But at the same time,
if he was shipping it out of state, then he was doing like more than one illegal thing at a time.
I think regardless, he was doing more than one illegal thing at a time, and he was doing fentanyl, so that's like 3 illegal things at a time. Automatically.
Yeah, it's a handful. Yeah, a little bit of a handful of illegal things.
Oh, and speaking of that, the second thing, DEA seizes the largest fentanyl shipment in Michigan. It had enough. It was 20 kilos, roughly 40 pounds of fentanyl, which is enough to kill about 10 million people, which is approximately the population of Michigan.
Yeah.
They stopped a shipment in Michigan that had enough fentanyl to kill the entire population of Michigan.
Yeah. Holy fucking shit, fuck.
Yeah.
I don't even know. And that's the thing is, I don't understand, like, why the fuck people are fucking with fentanyl. Like, it's been around for a long time, and it's just become, like, a big thing now. Like, it's like people are mixing it with random-ass drugs, and it's like, dude, like, one little grain of that shit mixed into, like, man, no. Just don't fuck around with it.
Easy to get, just a little micro is just enough to fucking get people fucked up.
It's like, fuck, man, just Just smoke weed, people.
Yeah.
You like grow a plant for free.
Real.
Well,
Just do it.
all right.
Like,
Well,
smoke.
I was grazing through this and found some more crazy things.
What you got?
A
We got-
roommate of mine had some trim laced with gunpowder. It crackled when smoked. Worst strain, in my opinion, is strawberry cough. Lots of anxiety and paranoia. I don't know.
I've had strawberry cough before, and I don't really think it's that bad. But
Someone else said, aside from those bricks you find in South America, the weed in Romania is awful. When I got some there, the guy wasn't even able to tell me whether if it was sativa or indica or what. Just that it was quote unquote good because it comes from a cloned plant. It was awful and expensive.
But I'm still stuck on that gunpowder laced joint. Like I'm like what? Why would you eat what? Now I remember back in the day, way back in I don't know, Curtis, you can tell me if you've heard about this, but they used to talk about formaldehyde dip joints.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah, they dip them in formaldehyde and shit.
Now here was an unfortunate thing. We were near fucking funeral homes, and multiple times people tried to break into the funeral homes because they thought there was still jars of old formaldehyde in there. And every time they got arrested, and they were told, no, there's no fucking formaldehyde in there. Everything that was used for the mortician was cleared out because it's,
when they're closed, they have to remove all the chemicals. Like it's not like those old TV shows make you think where you can like find it like in town. You can find a fucking mortuary place that's got like stock shelves with shit.
Right.
That doesn't happen.
You just open up the door and it's just like this really creaky basement. Everything's fallen over. The drapes are torn down, but there's still a fully stocked thing of chemicals. Maybe one's on the ground. No.
Yeah, even if the property gets abandoned, eventually the county will go and clear it out.
Exactly, because they know how dangerous those chemicals can be.
Yeah,
multiple times people tried to get in there because of the legendary formaldehyde dip.
Which is stupid.
In fact, I actually know where some of those old formaldehyde jars end up. Some of them get auctioned off, actually, to collectors and museums and shit. There's a death museum in a town nearby, Mount Clemens.
I literally thought you were just about to say that your girlfriend has one of them.
No. We were thinking of buying an empty one that they filled with,
that'd be a great anniversary gift.
They fill it up with, like, some colored liquid and such, but it's not actually formaldehyde. It would be fun.
No, of course not. Of course not.
That
can be rectified, though. You can buy formaldehyde online.
I wonder if I can buy it on Amazon. All right. Isaac, you go ahead.
But anyway, Isaac, go ahead, bro.
I found one here, and I think this strain is actually one of your guys' favorites.
I may use the Good Buds account for this, guys.
That's fine, bro.
Out of all the shitty weed I've smoked, Blue Dream makes up 50% of it. Blue Dream can be high quality, but dealers use it as a sales tactic when trying to move shitty weed. Chances are it was never Blue Dream to begin with. Does anyone else have this similar experience?
Yes, actually, that really like harkens back to what we were talking about last episode of the podcast, which is that dealers would give like strains shitty strains, good names. So they'd have like a fucking bunk ass strain that somebody grew in their closet, and they'd call it Pineapple Express. But Blue Dream was another one of them. Like I don't know around here.
About $40 for about 37% formaldehyde.
But Green Crack was a big one around here, and also Newfoundland Thunderfuck was a big one around here. They'd be like, "Oh, this is Newfoundland Thunderfuck," and like it wasn't a Thunderfuck strain every time. Every time. I think I didn't smoke a real Thunderfuck strain until I actually went to Newfoundland. But basically, like, yeah, man, they fucking like would give it a stupid name. But I think Blue Dream. I don't know, Curtis. Do you ever hear like legacy dealers calling their strains Blue Dream to try to hype it up?
Blue Dream was like a common one. Fucking Maui Wowie, Acapulco Gold.
Maui Wowie. Fuck, I haven't heard that name in a long time.
Let's see. What was another? There was one more. Any of the Thunderfuck strains. Fucking there was like 4 or 5 different names for
California
them.
Thunderfuck, Alaskan
Yeah.
Thunderfuck, Newfoundland Thunderfuck,
Detroit Thunderfuck, somebody had to
Detroit
call it.
Thunderfuck. Yeah.
But yeah, fucking, it was a combination of either dealers calling their weed shitty stuff or somebody got a seed out of a weed that they got from somebody else and decided to grow it and actually got a plant out of it, clone that, or made another plant out of the seed they got from that, and then they would call that plant something that they made, you know?
Yeah,
so now
something
you got,
dumb. Give it a dumb name.
Exactly. So then you got Silver Kush or Foxtrot Kush or this or Michael Kush.
But a lot of the time you'd go to buy shit and the person would be like, yeah, man, I got some Blue Dream, man. And you're like, that's not fucking Blue Dream, dude. Like, it's funny because now, like, it's funny, Curtis, I'm sure me and you, if we walked into a place with a random dealer and they were like, yeah, I've got some Blue Dream, and they held out some nugs in front of us, both of us would just look at it for a second, look at each other, look at the dude, and be like, bro, that ain't Blue Dream. It's like,
that ain't it,
no,
Chief.
that ain't it, Chief.
Sorry,
like,
bro.
no.
That ain't it.
Don't even think so. I'd like grab the nug out of his hand and be sniffing it before he fucking knows what happens, and I start like no, wrong champion profile.
I'm not really getting.
I would just grab one of the nugs, crush it in my hand, just
rub it on your tongue, jam some up your nostril.
These are like actual strains.
Trying to fuck me, bro.
There's just a bunch of people saying they got weed, they didn't know what it was called, and there's like this one. One time, my friend got weed that tasted and smelled like straight dirt. It was actually disgusting. Barely got me high. He tried to say, "Bro, the worse it smells, the better it is."
Actually, weed strains that taste like pure dirt, like actual dirt, like soil dirt, and this is a big thing, are usually moldy. I'm just gonna put that out there. Like, if they taste like, if you smoke them and they have the same exact flavor profile as like soil, the way that soil smells, like if they've got that flavor profile, don't smoke anymore. Just don't. Like, there can be weed strains that have that as a hint of a scent. Like, you know, the hint can be there. The little bit of a bippity boppity can be there. But don't, if it only tastes like dirt, don't fucking smoke it. Come on now. Come on now. Be better.
Here's a different one. Maybe I'm unique, but I absolutely hate anything that's pure sativa. It's like if you took weed and removed all the good sensitives and painkiller aspects of it and just left the sort of kind of psychedelic, but not really effective with loads of anxiety and paranoia. I don't mind hybrids or even sativa dominance, but pure sativa is worthless to me. I hate being sold it. I'll never tell people, please don't sell me this straight sativa because I hate them so much.
That's a valid opinion.
Absolutely.
That's a perfectly valid opinion. Honestly, like, Curtis would know more about this because he's an indica guy. I know that. We all know that. But like, that's fully valid. Like, I know Curtis likes it either way. He really couldn't care less whether he gets a hybrid of sativa or an indica, but he'll definitely lean more towards the indica strains, and it just makes sense that way. Because everybody has a preference, right? So this dude obviously just really does not enjoy sativa highs, so he prefers indicas or, you know, sativa hybrids, you know? That's fully valid. And anybody out there, any of you buds out there that feel the same way, like, you know, like, you it's good, you know? Just
here's
smoke
another
what you
one.
want.
Someone says Super Silver Haze. No doubt dank buds, but fuck it, it just made me grouch.
Silver Haze, that's what it was, not Silver Kush.
It just says Super Silver Haze.
I know. When I was saying earlier, I was giving an example, like some dude would grow something called Silver Kush. Silver Haze is what they actually call it.
Silver Haze.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's. I don't know. I don't think I've ever smoked.
I never heard of this one, but this one says MK Ultra. Wasn't a fun grow. Plants were real leggy. The high was underwhelming, but it gave me the most fucked up, violent dreams of pure destruction.
Sounds like this dude just actually went through the mind control process.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. This sounds like an individual experience because I've smoked MK Ultra numerous times, and I definitely liked it. I mean, it's certainly a lethargic strain. Like, it's one that if I smoke it, I will find myself sitting in a chair somewhere or on my bed somewhere, just like, "Whoa," like that girl from the commercial that used to be fun and used to be cool, but she's melting now. But it's a good strain, like in itself. Just yeah,
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe that dude just has some issues he needs to work out.
This guy here says the best/worst strain I've ever gotten. This was like 10 months ago. Very heavily sativa presence to me, as I think it was Cookies OG or something like that. Dense as fuck, totally solid, long, compacted buds with orange hairs. They looked somewhat like a cat turd, and it kind of smelled like cat piss too. Somewhat unpleasant, even as someone who loves the smell of pot. This stuff smelled just so fucking or pungent. I remember the smell to this day, like weed times 10. But I learned to really like it eventually, even though it still made me shudder. Goddamn, was this shit powerful. The day my roommates and I picked up, we all smoked out. I took 2 rips from the bong and was high to just even speak. I went to go get food, just stood there in the kitchen, laughed, and then sat down on the floor and passed out.
Jesus Christ! What the hell is that?
Someone in the comments said there's actually a strain called cat piss. It's gnarly.
Sounds like they just
Dude,
do
actually, that is a legitimate terpene profile though, because there was one time that I got weed from this dude. Okay, so it was a long time ago, and I got weed from this dude, and I smelled it, and I was like, dude, this smells like fucking cat piss. I was like, it smells like a cat like pissed on these plants. This is like really, and he's like, dude, I swear to God, he's like, the guy doesn't even own a cat. There's no way. Like the guy grew it, like trimmed it. It wasn't outside, and like there's no possible chance that a cat has peed on these plants. And I was like, dude, I was like,
Oh,
there
what the
has to be
fuck?
cat pee. I was like, there has to be cat pee. So anyway,
Right.
basically, I'm like, dude, no, like, and I smoked it. I smoked it anyway because I was young again, stupid again. Didn't taste like cat pee at all. Didn't like, I don't know what cat pee tastes like, but it didn't have that ammonia kind of smell. Like once I burnt it, it tasted fine. But so I was like, okay, I'll buy some more of this stuff, but I'd like to go with you to pick it up if that's cool. Like if the guy's okay with it, I'd love to go. And the reason why is because I wanted to do some recon. I wanted to do some fucking reconnaissance. I need to see if this guy has a fucking cat. I'm going to this house and I'm seeing if this dude has a cat. I'm looking around for litter boxes. I'm looking around for like cat treats, whatever the fuck I can, anything, right? So I go to the dude's house. I meet him. He's a cool dude, and I'm like hanging around his house and everything like that. And like he doesn't have a cat. Doesn't have any pets actually. In fact, no pets. And I was like, oh man, I was like, that's crazy. I was like, this weed's like wild, man. I was like, it smells kind of like cat pee. It's the strangest thing. And he's like, oh yeah, no man, that's the strain. He's like, I don't know what it's called, but he's like, I got it from my uncle who grows, and he cloned me one of his plants, and basically got me clones from one of his plants, and he's like, I don't know what it is, but it smells like cat pee. He's like, if you grow it outside, like it'll basically scare away other cats from around your house. And if you grow it inside, people are gonna think like they won't think you're growing weed. They'll think that you've got a bunch of fucking cats living in your house. And I was like, that's really weird, man. I was like, it's good. You know, I got relatively high off it. It wasn't like the best weed I'd ever smoked, but it wasn't bad. But it smelled terrible. It smelled horrible. I was like, man, this, like smelling it itself. I was like, man, I do not enjoy it. But it's a terpene profile that weed gets. Yeah, it's just cat piss.
This one here, it's kind of a funny name for this strain. Someone
Yeah.
says, if we're talking about legitimate medical grade weed that I didn't like, it would probably be hippie crippler. It smelled like shit. I know sometimes it's a good thing, but super fluffy, weird, super light smoke, and a boring high. Weed in general, anything with seeds, lol. Nothing like rolling up the fattest tube in the land only to sit there and huff until your lungs hurt, and you end up with the same tired ass, boring, generic weed high. But the best bud, some legitimate Gorilla Glue.
Gorilla Glue's
Any weed with hidden seeds. Oh, what are you saying, Curtis? Sorry.
Gorilla Glue's pretty good.
Yeah, Gorilla Glue's pretty good.
And
But any
this
weed
little,
with hidden seeds is bad. because you don't want to fucking be halfway through a joint and have a seed fucking like pop on you, and then all you can taste is that burnt tree, like grass flavor.
Yeah, even after you get a seed or a stem out, fucking, well, mainly a seed. Once it's popped, fucking, that whole bowl is gone.
Yeah, the flavor is gonna stick around.
I thought
Might as
I
well
would
go
mention
back to
this
bed
one.
and start your whole day over.
Yep.
I thought I would mention this last one as the last one because this is what I asked my friend what is the worst strain he's ever had before recording.
Yeah.
And this is the answer he told me. Is the same answer I'm seeing here in the comments on this Reddit post.
All right.
There's never a bad strain, just a bad harvester.
Yeah. Slash grower.
Yeah, basically is
Because,
exactly what my friend said.
Well, no, I don't know, man. That's not necessarily true because there are strains that they're just like they're just generally weak as fuck. They're literally grown to be like they're grown so that they're still weed technically. They don't fall into the hemp category. But like they're so low in THC and low in CBD that when you do smoke them, like they grow them in Jamaica, for example. But when you smoke it, you can smoke a joint the size of my forearm, like which is not, granted, not very thick, but it is like girthy and long. But you can smoke a joint that big and just get like not even be that high, like barely be high. And at that point, it's like it seems almost wasteful or like pointless. You know what I mean? It seems like counterproductive or pointless. Like at that point, you might as well take the cannabis and like compress it down into concentrates of some kind because there's like no way smoking the weed is worth it anymore. And so like I think like there are strains of weed out there that if you grow them, they'll be bunk as shit. But for the most part, good strains that you can get in most places, if it is shit, it is probably like Isaac said, the person that harvested it, they probably didn't cure it properly. It got moldy. They didn't trim it right. Like they didn't take care of seeds and everything else. So that's and then the growing stage is important too. Like because if they use chemicals to grow it and they don't flush the chemicals, then you end up with that disgusting fucking weed that won't stay lit. That tastes like Miracle Grow.
But hey, that's one of those things that we don't entirely know. But buds, leave your comments down below. Let us know what you think. Do you think it's up to the grower? Do you think there's some strains out there that are just absolutely god awful? Let us know what your worst strain is, your worst smoking experiences. Let us know anything that has to do with fucking, garbage weed and such. We'd love to hear from it. Comment down below.
Yeah,
let us know on any of our social media. It'd be fantastic.
It's true. We got the Instagrams you can comment on.
Well, doing this research, I kind of found I found a strain.
You found a strain?
Oh, you found a strain?
I looked up trashy weed strains, right?
Right.
Okay.
And there's a weed strain called trash.
Oh, there's actually a weed strain called trash.
Yes.
Nice.
Trash is an indica dominant hybrid that is anything but garbage. This strain crosses purple trainwreck against Afghan hash plant, blending the most mental alertness of trainwreck.
Trash. I get it.
Blends the most mental alertness of trainwreck with resin productions and deep earthly aroma native to Afghan genetics.
Oh.
Nice.
So I think one of you guys need to try trash.
I think I need to try some trash.
See if we can get our hands on trash, yeah.
If I can get some trash,
it was so easy because when I was younger, there was trash weed everywhere.
Now we gotta actually look for it.
Now we have to actually look for trash.
Absolutely. Now, unfortunately, I hate to cut this episode a little bit short, but my cat seemed to be fucking in the other room. My girlfriend's trying to sleep, so I think I need to go deal with that. It also is getting kind of late, so I think it's time we call the episode.
Yeah, no worries. That sounds good to me. We will be back next week for another episode. So
of course, I do have one more bong hit that we can take.
And I've got the rest of this doobie here that I can light up and partake of.
Okay, blaze it, choke, choke,
Choke, choke. So, Buds, while he's still taking that toke, thank you very much for joining us. You can check out our Instagram and social media links down below in the description, as well as our Discord channel where we have great conversations that you can join in on. Please do hop down there and share your content with us. Thank you.
Absolutely. Like, comment, subscribe anywhere where you can. It's much appreciated. Thank you so much for watching the Good Buds podcast. We will roll on for the road, and thank you. See you next week on the Good Buds podcast.
Later.
Bye.